Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Alexandra Alegría and I'll be your host for today. We will be talking about Colombia as a nearshoring destination and the opportunities we have in the agroforestry sector. I want to mention a couple of things before we start. You can ask questions, so please feel free to submit all your questions in the Q&A box or chat that will be opened in your WebEx platform. We will be answering all these questions at the end of the presentation. Before I start, I want to tell you a little bit about Interzum Bogotá. Interzum Bogotá sponsors these webinars through its virtual platform as a way to keep the industry connected and updated in recent trends and opportunities before its physical trade show in May of 2022. Interzum Bogotá, formerly known as Feria Mueble en Madera, is the leading trade fair for industrial wood processing and furniture manufacturing in Latin America. With the experience of trade show organizers, Corferias and Cormese, Interzum Bogotá has become the meeting point for the most important decision makers and top industry leaders in the region and the world. Interzum Bogotá is the sister trade show of called Interzum Cologne in Germany. Interzum Cologne is the largest and most important trade show for furniture manufacturing and interior design. For this reason, Interzum Cologne has become the industry's benchmark for all other trade shows. The exhibition in Bogotá offers a whole wide range of machinery samples, supplies, and services for the wood processing and furniture manufacturing industry. Interzum Bogotá's next edition will take place in 2022 from May 10th to the 13th. For more information on how to participate in our trade show, please visit our webpage, Interzum Bogotá. We also want to announce that Interzum Cologne in Germany will be taking place virtually in its 2021 edition with its platform called Interzum at Home. Interzum at Home will take place from May 5th to the 7th of this year. With Interzum at Home, exhibitors will be able to meet potential buyers and showcase products and services with target markets with just one click and at the comfort of their homes. For more information on Interzum at Home, please visit our webpage or contact us directly with the information we will be posting in the chat. Without further ado, I would like to introduce to you our two speakers for today. Manuel Salgado, he has more than 19 years of experience in foreign trade and currently holds the investment management position for Asian markets in ProColombia. We also have today Gustavo Moreno, who has a wide experience in marketing intelligence and international strategic development. He currently is the senior advisor for the Vice-presidency of Investment of Asian Markets in ProColombia. We want to welcome both of these speakers today. Having said this, we will begin our presentation with a short video.
Welcome to Colombia. We have been waiting for you. We have developed a special roadmap to help you get acquainted with our country and feel comfortable investing with us. Colombia is the second most biodiverse country in the world. And this natural environment provides us with millions of hectares for agricultural production and ample supply of raw materials used in all industries by skilled Colombian workers. Thanks to its geographical location, sharing borders with two oceans and great passenger and cargo air connectivity, Colombia offers a great advantage as an export platform to supply the world. And it has also become an ideal nearshoring destination for international companies that are diversifying their regional supply chains. Colombia also shows one of the highest economic growth rates in the region. And it is expected to continue growing through the infrastructure master plan, focused on technical, social, and environmental sustainability. The country welcomes international investors by offering various facilitating factors. Colombia's unique, talented, and highly skilled workforce is one of the largest in the region. Colombia offers strategic support in all stages of the investment cycle through its red carpet treatment for investors. There are special incentives for mega investments and a special free zone regimen. And as part of the commitment to being increasingly sustainable and competitive, the country offers special tax benefits for companies that generate a positive social and environmental impact. Colombia is a great option for your next investment. So are you looking for the right time to invest? Colombia has created an environment of excellence, and our highly talented people will help take your business to the next level. The opportunity? The choice is yours. And the place? It's definitely Colombia.
Okay. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for attending this webinar, and also thank you to our allies, Colmese, for this space. Okay, my name is Manuel Salgado, and we will have this presentation in two parts. It's a general information regarding Colombia, and then a specific information about the forestry and the wood transformation industry. Okay, please, Gustavo, next. Okay, so let me mention something about ProColombia. So ProColombia is a government agency. We belong to the Ministry of Commerce, Trade, and Tourism, and we are involved in 4 activities. We promote Colombian export. We also are interested to have more FDI into Colombia, and also more international visitors, and also we handle the country brand. We have an international presence. Actually, we have 26 different offices abroad. ProColombia team living abroad, and we cover 32 different countries. And in Colombia, we have the head office in Bogotá, and we have also 8 regional offices in the main cities in Bogotá. Okay, so I would like to mention something about the COVID and how the government is tackling this pandemic. Actually, last year, Colombia invested around 9.6% of the GDP trying to solve the problem with the COVID. And we were in the first position in the countries in the region, on those matters. Okay, well, next please. So those are the 6 key drivers or reason why Colombia is becoming a nearshoring platform in the region. So the first one is political and stability. In this slide, you see how Colombia, before the COVID, in the last 50 years, Colombia was had a good performance in the GDP. It was the only country in the region with just 1 year in red. It was in 1998, and we have a stable and a sustainable GDP growth for those years. And what about the last year GDP? The official data of the last year, it was -6.8. We don't have the official data of Brazil and Chile, but the estimate, according to the IMF, is that Colombia had the third best performance in this difficult year of the pandemic. Next, please. And Colombia also is a country of regions. Not just the GDP of Colombia is concentrated in the capital city. Bogotá and the surrounding areas represent around 25% of the total GDP, but also we have the central region, which is Antioquia state. They represent 22%, and also we have on the Caribbean, towards to the Barranquilla and Cartagena, in those regions, we have around 15% of the GDP. So Colombia is a country of regions. Next, please. And what we have for this year? We are expecting to have a growth of GDP between 4 to 4.9, with inflation of 2.4. And for the last year, the total investment arriving to Colombia until September, it was around $4 billion US, where 75% of this investment basically comes from non-mining activities. We don't have the official data, but it's expecting to happen for this week, according to the central bank, but it will be roughly $8 billion US of investment. Okay, and also Colombia belongs since 2019 in the OCDE. OCDE is the club of the best, the countries with the best practices worldwide. Just in the region, Mexico and Colombia have this status, and worldwide there are just 32 countries with this status. And according to the OCDE, Colombia in the region is the country with less barriers or low barriers for investment. So it's easier to open an account here in Colombia, to bring your money, to hire people, also in some cases to fire people. So if you compare different countries, and especially now with Mexico, with this new government, you see how Colombia offers good conditions for investors. And Colombia, we have the investment rate. So every 2 years, we receive visits of the Standard & Poor's, Fitch, and Moody's. And we still have the investment rate. Basically, the last report was in June 2020, where Moody's maintained our rating as a stable investment rate. And Colombia also belongs to the top 10 developing countries receiving investment. So for 2019, we received around $14 billion US, and we don't have the official data, as I mentioned, but what is important in the next slide is that we have a diversified investment sources coming to Colombia, not just to the oil and gas activities and mining activities. We have also financial and insurance services. We have also manufacturing, transportation, electricity, all utilities, construction. So it's a diverse range of sectors where the international investors are investing in Colombia. And this is the breakdown between the oil and mining activities and different sectors. And for 2019, we see how we have more investment, around $9 billion US in non-mining activities. If we see the stock of the investment in the last 4 or 5 years, basically US, Spain, United Kingdom, and Canada, those are the top investors in Colombia. For these, between 2018 to 2019, we had a growth of around 29% of the investment. Definitely for the last year, we will have a big decrease, as in all the countries in the region. And okay, what about the free trade agreements that we have? We have currently 17 different free trade agreements, and basically in the region, we offer an easy access from Colombian products to the countries in the region of around 97% of the total age code. And also we have a privileged access to the largest economical groups as US. I mean, we have US quite close to Colombia. And US is, I mean, the total population of US is around 329 inhabitants, and also Pacific Alliance with Chile, Colombia, Peru, Mexico. And also we have an agreement with Canada, Mercosur, Central America. And as a nearshoring opportunity, we have good conditions to attend the US market, setting operation here in Colombia. US market is the largest importer country worldwide. Around 13% of the total imports worldwide, they're made yearly in US, and we have good access with our free trade agreement with US. And what we have about our our geographical position. So Colombia is in the middle of the American. We have access to both oceans, and we have connectivity. Those are the connectivities by vessels to reach in different continents, And also, if we see the conditions to attend the markets by air freight, we see that if you compare the prices, the next one, please. So you see how it's cheaper to attend or to send a cargo from Bogotá airport to US. In these cases, it's cheaper than Mexico and Chile and Brazil. So, and we have also the airlines, and we have the connectivity. We have more than 30 direct and indirect routes offered by more than 8 airlines currently. And what about the competitive cost that we have in Colombia? So we have a good labor market in Colombia with quality, with productivity, and according to the FDI benchmark for 2020 in Colombia, we have the best performance in terms of labor availability in Colombia. And also the prices, the salary that you pay in Colombia is quite competitive. And you see here, you pay less than you pay in Peru, Mexico, Costa Rica, Brazil, and Chile. And you have a flexibility for the contracts. It's easy to hire people in Colombia. It's easy to get people in Colombia. And also in some cases, it's also easy to fire people from your companies. In terms of the investment, so the Colombian government, we have the free trade zone or the free trade regime. Basically, it's a place in Colombia where you pay less taxes, less income tax. You pay it in the free trade zone 20%, and you don't have to pay the VAT for goods and for the infrastructure that you need to build in those industrial parks. And also, you have the possibility to nationalizing raw materials when the goods are sold to the rest of the countries. So all your products made in the free trade zone are, or they have the origin of Colombia is different from other free trade zones in the region, and also you can sell. You don't have a percentage of your output. You must to sell to international markets. You can sell 100% of your product to Colombian territory, or you can export. It's up to you. You don't have those conditions. And also we have a specific incentives. So we have a reduction of the income tax for in 2 years time. In 2022, we will have a 30 income tax, which is the average of the standard of the countries. We have also mega investment. You pay, for investment around $300 million US, and with a 400 new jobs that you create, you will have, you don't have to pay the full income tax. You pay just 27%, and also you can sign a legal stability contract with the government. We have an also different holding companies regime. Basically, the idea with this one is try to copy some Panama scheme that the company have the offices here in Colombia, and you can bring your revenues from different countries in the region, and you don't have to pay taxes for those revenues. We have also a specific income tax exception in industry, basically in agribusinesses and also in orange economy. We have a special benefit for distribution and for distribution centers close to the airports and ports. And we have also a deduction of the 19% of the VAT that you pay for the real productive assets of your company. Okay, and what we have in terms of skilled labor. So we have in Colombia more than 700,000 engineers in the last, basically in the last 9 years. We have also in a technical training, also technological, or with the university degrees. And it's easy to find people here in Colombia. So if you see in the region, in Colombia is in the 3rd position after Chile and Costa Rica to get people with skills. And according to the World Competitiveness Ranking, Colombia for the 2020, Colombia is in it's almost in the middle, in the 54th position, but in the region it's in the 4th position. Obviously, Chile, Peru, Mexico, and Colombia, and we are the 3rd in Latin America in terms of talent, with the world ranking talent in 2019, and also in terms of the rigidity of employment index, less rigid the frame to hire people here in Colombia. And basically, I mean, we will have all this presentation is available for you, huh? And in the second part, please, Gustavo, please continue with the information regarding the forestry and the transformation wood in Colombia. Thank you.
Can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Yes.
But we don't see, but we don't see the screen. Okay, now the screen is gone. Okay.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Manuel, for the floor, and thank you very much to COALMES for giving us the opportunity to be part of such an important event, of course, in an international context. Now, after considering this kind of relevant macroeconomic information, we would like to go deeper into the most important aspects of the sector and why the Colombian agroforestry sector is an excellent option for those international investors who are actually considering as a potential investment destination. Thus, in order to be as organized and, of course, methodical as possible, we will review some relevant figures of the sector and at a geographical level, of course, since it is very important that we understand as much as possible where the areas of the country with the greatest potential for the development of investment projects are located, of course. And what is the economic composition of the market in Colombia? Of course, some growth projections that we have done for this industry, which geographical areas will lead this kind of growth. And we will analyze, of course, some figures of the sector that make our country particularly competitive in terms of market, both, of course, domestic and regional markets. And we will analyze, of course, some international market figures for the region, Colombia's export performance and the market gaps that somehow will take advantage of through a new development plan for the sector at the regional level. And finally, if you allow me, we will review the institutional support framework for this sector, of course, both public and private, and we will present a concrete investment opportunity for all of you who are maybe considering Colombia as a potential destination for developing new markets, of course. So, as we were mentioning before, we would like to start by emphasizing that Colombia is definitely a country of regions. Colombia has 12 cities with a population greater than 500,000 inhabitants and 27 cities with more than 250,000 inhabitants. So this shows somehow that you can see that, as you can see in the map, that the generation of the national GDP is widely spread through the whole country's territory. Thus, as we observed above, well, Colombia is a country of regions, of course, and currently we have identified 3 zones in which somehow the great majority of commercial forestry plantations are located, and which group or gather or together approximately 12 of the Colombia's 32 departments. So it is important to count that 40% of the country's forest plantations are located in the regions marked in green, which we call somehow the coffee growing zone, the zona cafetera in Spanish, and the southwest of the country. And this is why we really consider this kind of information strategies to show how the market's performance has been sustained. In 2019, the sector's gross domestic product reached a little over $2 billion, as you can see, so exhibiting a compounding growth rate of 11%. So it is important to highlight that the industry in Colombia has historically focused on the production of paper and its manufacturers, where, of course, the market has important players that will have internationally boosted the reputation of this sector in Colombia. Some things going on in here. Okay. So, in fact, one of the ways that the Ministry of Agriculture has to identify market dynamics is the level of timber mobilization coming from commercial plantations in the country. As you can see, for example, in 2019, as we can see, Colombia mobilized more than 3 million cubic meters of timber, mainly pulp, wood blocks, and as well other derived products. And well, as you can see, it's a very these kind of projections are very important indicators on which the national government has worked in detail. In fact, the projections that have been made show the objective we have set ourselves for mobilizing at least 4 million additional cubic meters. So our goal is to exceed 8 million cubic meters of timber and foster the sector by attracting international investors who will, of course, take advantage of our country to serve the domestic market and the markets in the region through the free trade agreements that Colombia currently has in force. And we expect this mobilization to be generated fundamentally by the Caribbean zone and northern Colombia and the coffee regions of the country. So that, well, maybe in 20 years, we will achieve in these regions an additional mobilization of approximately, we hope, 10 million cubic meters. So let's get deep in the business characterization. And as I was telling you before, well, this is why it is really important to delve a little deeper into the sector in Colombia and describe some of the characteristics that makes us competitive in the international context. For example, we already have 73 FSC certifications in forest management. We have 7.5 million hectares available for commercial plantations. And of course, we have more than 3,000 production units, in which more than 90% are small and medium-sized companies, as you can see in this slide. So the sector in Colombia, as far as we're concerned, is robust. And new players investing in this chain, we believe will have an important business network that will support their operations in the country. In 10 departments, we have more than 8,000 companies working in different stages of the supply chain. However, of course, in the first stage of the chain, due to the unfortunate closure of a very traditional company in the country, there is an unsatisfied market demand that we believe could be assumed by a potential investor from the international context in here within our borders in Colombia. So as you can see in the map, in the Caribbean region, for example, for instance, there are important market players who own a significant number of plantations. And of course, we have known that they have sufficient potential to be strategic allies for a new market player within the Colombian borders, even more if they come from the international context, of course. And let's get deep into the international trade profile of the Colombian sector exports, of course. And as we mentioned above, the opportunity lies not only into the domestic market, but also in achieving trade relations with markets in the region. Of course, through the free trade agreements that Colombia have signed in recent years. In 2020, we exported $80 million, and mainly, of course, to the United States of America. And we managed to reach distant markets such as India, China, or Vietnam, at the same time that we serve natural markets for Colombia, such as some members of the Andean Community of Nations, and of course, the Pacific Alliance that Manuel mentioned before, such as Ecuador or Mexico, for example. And finally, as you can see in the map, the 62% of the country's exports are mainly concentrated in the region, and we believe this is a niche market in constant growth. And if we analyze the country's exports by type of product, well, wood, furniture, and other types of tropical wood are maybe the most relevant. And with these kind of products, we reached markets such as the United States, but also European markets such as Belgium, China, Vietnam, Singapore, of course, Chile, Ecuador, Salvador, among others. And in fact, Latin America and the Caribbean, as you can see in the map, import more than $4 billion annually. So Colombia, for example, imports $257 million. And this is a market that we truly believe can be reached and attended from our country. So this is very important for you to understand the international context where we have been developing these kind of industries during the last years. And of course, all of the above requires a political and institutional infrastructure that supports and strengthens the development of this sector. In Colombia, for example, from a public perspective, the Ministry of Agriculture is responsible for the formulation and evaluation of public policies for the development of this sector. And the Ministry of Environment is actually in charge of the environmental public policies, and they regulate the use and exploitation of lands. And the ICA, or what we call in Spanish ICA, well, carries out surveillance and control activities, both sanitary and biological for animals and plants. But the private sector also has strong organizations that work for the scientific and technical development of the industry, such as Agrosavia, as you can see in the first place, and or actually that represent the industry as a union or link entrepreneurs and producers with different market players, and of course, seeking to facilitate business in the sector in Colombia, such as Fede Madres, which is led by Alejandro Spitio, one of the most important executives of this sector in Colombia. So let's talk about opportunities. And this is very important because what are we proposing for this sector? Well, we currently have a negative trade balance, as you can see. We already seen that Colombia is now importing close to $257 million. And this is a trend that we believe has been maintained over the last few years. So after considering all this kind of relevant information, what we are proposing is the installation of plants for products for the production of wood panels and finishes for the construction industry. And this is a demand that, well, has been widely identified, of course, and analyzed and studied by pro-Colombian national government, and it represents the 38% of the country's overall wood consumption in Colombia, as you can see in the slide, and generates imports of $200 million in recent years. So furthermore, we expect this sector to grow by at least 3.6% over the next few years and to reach a market value of, we hope, $12 billion by 2025. So please do remember that Colombia has more than 14 million hectares suitable for the generation of commercial plantations. Besides being potentially as excellent export platform, as we were telling you before, to satisfy not only the $257 million that the country imports, but also to increase the market share in the region, which, as we already have seen, imports a very significant amount of products and dollars, creating, of course, an excellent business opportunity for this industry in our country, in Colombia. So this concludes my personal remarks about the sector, and I thank you for your time and consideration, of course. I suppose that this presentation may have generated several concerns. So we have set aside a few minutes to listen to you carefully and fundamentally to understand what is really important for you when you are making a decision to invest in a manufacturing project in this sector. Surely, some of your questions maybe will need to be addressed in specialized meetings with some of the entities that I mentioned in my presentation, of course. And if this is the case, please, you can count on the unconditional support of ProColombia, which aims, of course, as always, to be a strategic and a trusted ally for all those international investors who find in our country an opportunity to expand their business models and, of course, generate economic growth locally and internationally. So please remember that the Colombian government, and this is very important, has been working for many years to position Colombia as a high-level foreign investment destination. We truly believe in private initiatives. In business development, of course, we believe that through companies, we can generate sustainable economic growth and increase, of course, the level of sophistication of industry in our country. Our constitution protects the investor, welcomes him as a national, of course, and through our organization, ProColombia, the national government accompanies him throughout the process of research, obtaining relevant information, and finally, in the crucial process of making the decision to invest in Colombia. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gustavo, and thank you, Manuel, for this presentation. Now I will be reading some of the questions that some of you wrote in our chat. We will dedicate 5 minutes for the questions, so please feel free to submit more questions if you decide you want to ask them to our speakers. Gustavo, we have one question, and they says, why Colombia and not Mexico for nearshoring?
Well, that's a very interesting question, and I, of course, thank you a lot. Of course, it will be material for another completely whole speech, because we have been working on this issue very deeply, as you could imagine. We truly believe that, for example, the level of international context penetration that Colombia has developed during the last few years will represent for specifically the whole the southern region of Latin America, a very important market opportunity. Besides, if you're actually, despite considering Mexico as an export platform, of course. You have to take into account that, for example, Brazil represents a 200 million persons market that will actually become one of the most important social allies for Colombia, for example. And I'm not talking about Argentina, Chile, Peru, or in the southern region of Latin America. So in terms of market size, of course, Colombia will be a very important option for a nearshoring strategic opportunity. And of course, if this person would like to go deep in these kind of topics, it would be great if you maybe could share my personal information so they can contact me and look for develop this kind of specific questions, of course.
Thank you, Gustavo. Yes, definitely, we will share your information. We have another question here, and it says, what are the incentives? I know you probably did mention this, and Manuel did in his presentation. What are the government incentives? What are the government incentives for investing in Colombia? Especially, they want to know, what is the double taxation agreement with the U.S. and Colombia?
Well, actually, those are two different questions. From the tax incentives portfolio that we have structured, as Manuel was saying, actually, for example, you have those mega investment incentives where you are actually going over $300 million invested in our country. So you will be able to receive a tax incentive through what we call the devolution of the value added tax, or even the reduction of the percentage points or levels of the income tax in Colombia. So you will be able to generate a positive competitiveness of your finance structure for your personal and specific project investment in our country, of course. But it depends. because we have a very wide range of tax incentives portfolio, and it depends, for example, if you are investing, for example, as we were telling you before, in a city with a population greater or lower than 500,000 inhabitants, for example, of you are actually improving your investment projects in those places where we have identified we have serious employment rates issues. So we are actually looking for developing or increasing these kind of indicators through the tax incentives for international investors to develop these kind of regions and generate sustainable employment rates, of course. And the double taxation agreement that we have signed with the United States, it's actually consisting on the, let's say, the whole situation that we have recognized in the United States as one of the most important commercial allies of Colombia. So it means that in a lot of cases, there you have a lot of investors working in both countries. So the double taxation agreement will allow the entrepreneurs or companies to pay taxes only in one place. So if you are already paid for the value-added tax, for example, in Colombia, through the double taxation agreement, you will not be in a mandatory situation of paying these kind of taxes in the United States. And this is what, in general terms, consist these kind of double taxation agreements worldwide.
Thank you, Gustavo. We have another question. It says, what regions in Colombia, I know we mentioned the Caribbean, but I'll read this question anyways. What are the best regions in Colombia for nearshoring and furniture production?
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Alexandra. Of course, we would like to underline two different regions. What we call the Caribbean zone, northern Colombia, which means Barranquilla, or departments of Atlántico, Bolívar, and all of those Caribbean region in our country, but also what we call the zona cafetera in Spanish, what we call cafeterian or coffee region in English, which means Antioquia and some of the southern departments such as Valle del Cauca, of course.
Okay, Manuel.
I cannot hear you.
Sorry, was talking on mute. We have another question. It says, is there already a plan or options for individual investors to invest in any agroforestry project already ongoing?
When you say individual investors, what do you mean? I mean, I don't know if you're talking about individuals, person, a human being, or a company, because this kind of for example, this kind of tax incentives portfolio or the whole investment regime, what we call the investment regime in Colombia, is mainly person for companies, not for individuals. So, of course, you can travel to Colombia, you can visit our country, you can think about how to develop different kind of business models. But for individuals in this moment, I would like to talk to you personally and to go deep in those specific characteristics that you have thought for your personal investment project, of course. ProColombia is, we have to say, is mainly focused on working with companies, not individuals.
Okay, good. Gustavo, we have another question. It says, is it globalization or regionalization our new trend?
Pardon me, can you say that again, please?
It says, is it globalization or regionalization the new trend that we're going on in the economy today, in the industry?
Well, that's a very interesting question, you know, and actually, well, this is what all about is, you know, because I truly believe that, for example, this pandemic demonstrated that we are living in a very globalized world. Of course, Colombia have signed a very wide range of free trade agreements, which means that from a regional perspective, you will find a lot of opportunities in Latin America and with, of course, with the European Union. But we truly believe that the the actual borders of this planet is that there you do not have borders in the planet. So as I was telling you before, when we were analyzing the export profile of this sector, I showed you that we actually reached very distant markets such as India, Vietnam, Singapore. So we truly believe that we can globalize the economy and construct and build a structured and a very robust international investment strategy for those investors looking for landing in Colombia, of course.
Thank you, Manuel. Gustavo, sorry. I will be reading our last question. We have other ones, but we will probably answer them. I will send them to you so you can answer back. It says, we are looking for our large-scale reforestation partners in Magdalena department. If there are any of this in this meeting, I'm sorry, they are asking if there's any partners here that they can contact from Magdalena. Please do write in the chat and we will share them with Juan Camilo Sáenz, who's asking this question.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course, we can share the information. We will share the presentation that we just making here in this amazing event. And of course, if you would need to look for localized for reforestation plan, of course, I think that it will be very strategic to keep in touch with the Ministry of Agriculture in Colombia, which is leading this specific strategy from a national perspective, of course.
Thank you, Gustavo. And I will just ask the last question just to sum up everything. They are saying, what are the benefits for the wood and forestry industry to nearshore in Colombia? Probably a quick summary of why should, especially transformation in wood transformation, why would they come to Colombia for nearshoring? Okay.
Well, that's interesting because as I thought that we left that kind of talk very clear, so it's not a problem. I think that, as I was telling you, unfortunately, a very traditional company in this country, closed actually, and it means that in Colombia we have an unsatisfied demand of market, which means that, as I was telling you before, the specific commercial segment in Colombia is very big actually. So for an international investor thinking to install a facility plant production plant here in Colombia would allow them to access to a very wide and robust range of markets here in Colombia, but also to export those kind of products to we could say, the natural markets in the region, such as the CAN or the Andean Community of Regions or the Pacific Alliance. I would like to underline the specific idea of the unsatisfied demand in the local market because of as I was telling you, because of the unfortunate situation of the closure of this company, that it was actually very traditional in Colombia. So an international investor would find a very unsatisfied demand that they would attend if investing in our country.
Okay, so I think that's a great summary of your presentation. I think this question was very, you did cover it in your presentation. I guess it's good that you kind of summarized it. With this, we don't have any more questions. People are asking for the presentation in Spanish, and we will do that also. We will send it to your contacts, our Spanish presentation, and we will also share Gustavo's and Manuel's information with you guys. So thank you all for attending. Thank you, Gustavo. Thank you, Manuel, and thank you for joining us today, especially for sharing your knowledge and all this information with us. Thank you, Gustavo.
Thank you, Alexandra. Please have a nice day, and thank you all. Bye-bye.
You too. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.
You too. Bye-bye.